How are you, Africans? I hope and pray that you are fine wherever you are. Welcome again to this session of our discussions on issues affecting Kenya, Africa, and the world. In this platform and in this session, I want us to talk about something which is critical, something which cannot be ignored, and that is the endless war in DR Congo. I have thought for quite a while, and I have questioned myself, and I think most of you have questioned themselves, and they have asked this critical question: why is the war in Congo endless? Despite the presence of world powers, despite the presence of the United Nations, and despite the presence of African Union, why is the war in Congo still endless? In my previous discussions, I noted that the war in Congo started in 1996. That was during the First Congo War. The war briefly ended in 2002, then resumed again in 2003, until now. By the time I was going on air making this video, there were close to 27 million DR Congolese who are at the verge of food insecurity, lacking food. And at the same time, there were at least 6 million deaths resulting from this ongoing war. And at the same time, I also found that about 6 million people were internally displaced in the country, and 34% of the population in the country were missing from their homes. Now, this paints the grievous picture in DR Congo. I have noted that around 27 million people are in the verge of lacking food. About 6 million children, 6 million people are internally displaced, and at least 5.6 million have fled their homes. This data I have collected from Al Jazeera and others from Center for Preventive Action. Amid these sufferings, amid these deaths, and amid these displacements, the Center for Preventive Action, which I read their report on the ongoing war in Congo DRC, the Center for Preventive Action noted that while innocent Congolese are dying, while innocent families are being displaced from their homes, China, United States, and other external parties are proceeding with their imports from Congo. Imports of gold, imports of uranium, imports of cobalt, still ongoing in Congo. The Center for Preventive Action noted that China imports more than 7 billion in Congolese metals alone annually. The United States imports roughly $4 million of precious metal and stone from DRC annually. These imports are done when innocent Congolese are dying. These imports are done when innocent families are displaced from their homes. I beg the question, are these players not capable of ending the Congo war? If they have the capability of importing millions and billions of precious metals from Congo, why are they lacking the capability to end the ongoing war in Congo DRC? I see a problem here, and I see a problem that is directly attached to the colonizers, a problem that is inherited from the colonizers, a problem that comes as a result of the strong attraction, strong diplomatic relations between DR Congo and these external factors. I think the priority in DR Congo should be the elimination of the ongoing war, should be an end to the human rights violations in the country before the extraction of minerals are done. In this case, in the case of Congo, I think, as I have always emphasized, Africa is the solution to its problems. The solution to Congo's problems lies in Africa. African countries have a responsibility to ensure that the ongoing conflict in Congo ends. And Africans have a responsibility to ensure that there is unity, solidarity, and cooperation in ending the Congo War. Our founding fathers emphasized the need for unity. Our founding fathers emphasized the need for African unity, and they encouraged Africans to unite and fight on a common front. I refer to statements that our founding fathers delivered during the first African Union meeting in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, hosted by Emperor Haile Selassie. Speeches were delivered on that day, and I have read close to 139 speeches that were delivered on that day, and I sampled them to find some of the relevant speeches to Africa and Congo. I believe, and I want to emphasize, that Congo's solution, the best solution to Congo's problems, lies in Africa. And African countries, African governments, and African presidents have a responsibility to ensure that the ongoing war in Congo ends without foreign intervention. For those who don't know how important Congo is and how important Congo was during the 1960s or the 20th century, let me say so. These speeches, which I am about to sample for you, were delivered on May 1963. That was during the Organization of African Unity, OAU, summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, organized and held by His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I of Ethiopia. I just want to remind Africans and the globe how important Congo was. I refer to a speech delivered by His Excellency Joseph Kasavubu, that was the President of Republic of Congo, Leopoldville. Kasavubu said, "I hasten to tell you that after the grave troubles which it has undergone, the heart of Africa is resuming its rhythm and is beginning to beat at an increasingly normal rate." Kasavubu was referring to DR Congo as the heart of Africa, and that explains why foreigners, why the Chinese, why the Belgians, why the United States and other external factors liked and preferred Congo as a perfect destination. That was Kasavubu. I also refer you to a great speech by His Excellency Kwame Nkrumah, President of the Republic of Ghana. Kwame Nkrumah analyzed and outlined the strategic importance of Congo. And Kwame Nkrumah had this to say: "Our continent certainly exceeds all the others in potential hydroelectric power, which some experts assess as 42% of the world's total. What need is there for us to remain hewers of wood and drawers of water for the industrialized areas of the world?" That was Nkrumah. Nkrumah also stated, "How, except by our united efforts, will the richest and still enslaved parts of our continent be freed from colonial occupation and become available to us for the total development of our continent?" I was looking for something that, yes. Nkrumah also had this to say about Congo, just to give you a glimpse of how important strategic Congo is and Congo was. "Yet all the stock exchanges in the world are preoccupied with Africa's gold, diamonds, uranium, platinum, copper, and iron ores. Our capital flows out in the streams to irrigate the old system of Western economy. 52% of the gold in Fort Knox at this moment, where the USA stores its bullion, is believed to have originated from our stores. Africa provides more than 60% of the world's gold, a great deal of the uranium for nuclear power, of copper for electronics, of titanium for supersonic projectiles, of iron and steel for heavy industries, of other minerals and raw materials for lighter industries." I want to inform Africa and the world that Congo is a very important country. Congo is the heart of Africa, and Congo might be the height of the world. And that is why the United States, China are in Congo, and they are extremely importing minerals from this country amid the ongoing wars, amid the ongoing killings in Congo. I believe that the solution to Congo's endless war lies with Africans. African governments have a responsibility to save Congo from this quagmire. They have a responsibility to front for a united Africa, to liberate other countries which are still suffering under the yoke of neo-colonialism, countries like Congo. If these founding fathers who are agitating for African unity, who are agitating for the complete liberation of Africa, wake up today, what explanation will we give them? What kind of excuse will we give them? If the likes of Kasavubu wakes up today and goes to Congo, what explanation will the Congolese give him? Because Kasavubu fought mercilessly for the liberation of Congo. He fought for an end to colonial domination in Congo. When he wakes up today and finds the Congo that he mercilessly fought for and died for still under colonial yoke, what will the Congolese tell Kasavubu? What will the Congolese tell Kwame Nkrumah? What will they tell Thomas Sankara? I think they will lack an explanation to give to these personalities. Africa has a responsibility to unite. Africa has a responsibility to fight on a united front. And until then, African problems will persist. Kwame Nkrumah emphasized to Africans, and he encouraged African leaders that they must unite without necessarily sacrificing their sovereignties. He encouraged them to unite and forge a political union based on defense, foreign affairs, and diplomacy, and a common citizenship. I also referred to other speeches by the attendees to the African Union Conference in 1963. And I bumped into a speech that was delivered by His Excellency Alhaji Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, that was the Prime Minister of the Federation of Nigeria. Balewa was also of the opinion of African unity, and he emphasized the need for African countries to unite and forge a spirited fight, joint fight towards colonialism. And Tafawa Balewa had this to say, and he warned Africans. I would like to tell the conference that we must take every care to know how we invite to assist in the development of our resources, because there is a fear, which is my personal fear, that if we are not careful, we may have colonialism in a different form. And that is what is happening in DR Congo today. It is not the colonialism that we saw in the early 20th or the mid 20th century. It is a new form of colonialism. And Balewa extended this speech by saying, colonialism can take many different forms. Our countries can be colonized economically if we are not careful. Just as we have fought political domination, it is also important that we fight against economic domination by other countries. We see today that African countries are colonized economically through loans. China is very ready to give African countries loans. Why? To colonize them. They give you loans. If you are unable to pay, they claim your assets. They ask for your ports. They ask for your railways. They ask for your, I don't know. These founding fathers had a vision of Africa. They envisioned the problems, and in some way they outlined the problems and issues that African countries were facing at that time and will face in the future. And luckily, they gave the solutions to these problems. And their solution was one: African unity. These founding fathers believed that Africa, when united, can never be defeated. And when divided, will always be defeated. And the problems of Africans will persist if there is no African unity. I believe African governments and African countries have a responsibility to fulfill the dreams of these founding fathers. The founding fathers, led by His Excellency Emperor Haile Selassie I of Ethiopia, created the foundation for African unity. They created a very stable foundation for African unity, and they encouraged Africans to unite and fight on a united front. They encouraged Africans to unite and uproot colonialism, neocolonialism from their countries. Congo is going to the ruins, and I think African governments and African countries all the 54 of them have a responsibility to save DR Congo. It is not the United States, it is not China, it is not Belgium, or it is not any other foreign power operating in Congo. It is the Africans that have that responsibility to save Congo. For the external parties such as the United States, China, Belgium, Russia, and any other, they will come to Congo, they will be present in Congo to fulfill their national interests. They will only be there to fulfill their national interests. I think there is one of the leaders who talked about what these foreign parties do in African countries, more so when it is attached to extraction of minerals. There is a leader who talked about this. Yes, His Majesty Mwami Mwabusa IV, that was King of Burundi, who also attended the 1963 Africa Union Summit. He had this to say: on this account, the African must fight unceasingly against the appetites of foreign domination, whether called colonialism, neocolonialism, or imperialism. It is our present task to unmask and mercilessly to stigmatize every slightest sign of colonialism aiming to undermine the independence of the African states, whether under an economic or a cultural guise. Why must we attack the colonial system? That was a question. Because the colonial system in all its forms serves chiefly national interests. That is what I wanted to say. Colonizers, neocolonizers, imperialists, they serve national interests. When the United States is in DR Congo, it is there to serve the interests of Washington, D.C. When China is in DR Congo, it is there to serve the interests of Beijing. Congo's problems are not a concern to these colonizers. Congo's problems are problems for Africa and Congo itself. China will be in DR Congo as long as the minerals are there. The United States will be in DR Congo as long as the minerals are there. That means, and thus translates to, Congo's problems are Africa's problems and Congo's. And that also means that the solution to Congo's problems must come from Africa and must come from Congo itself. African countries have a responsibility to correct their wrongs. They have a responsibility to correct their wrongs. They have a responsibility to redeem themselves when it comes to saving Congo. When I was reading the history of the endless Congo War, I found that it is African countries that played a major role in the First Congo War and the Second Congo War. And they still play leading roles in the ongoing wars in DR Congo. I established that during the First Congo War, Rwanda, Uganda, Angola, Chad, Zambia, Zimbabwe, South Sudan, Central African Republic, Tanzania, South Africa, Ethiopia, Eritrea played significant roles in attacking the government of Congo at that time. These countries that I have named and many others that I have not named in the list have a responsibility to redeem themselves. They have a responsibility to correct their wrongs. And I believe that these wrongs can be corrected And these countries can redeem themselves only by organizing through an African unity and spearheading a solution to the Congo problem. Congo is at war, and the solution must come from Africa. The United States will not solve the war in Congo. Be reminded, China will never solve the war in Congo. Russia will never solve the war in Congo. Israel will never solve the war in Congo. These parties, China, Russia, United States, Israel, they are present in Congo to extract minerals. They are present in Congo to extract raw materials for their industries. In a way, and primarily, the ongoing war in Congo is a benefit to them. As long as the war rages on, they will continue extracting minerals, and they will continue building their countries at home, while innocent Congolese die, infrastructure are destroyed, and Congo remains in ruins. I implore African leaders, and I implore the African Union. I want to say that the African Union has failed Congo. The African Union has failed the Congolese, and the African Union has failed Africa. Now is the time for them to redeem themselves. Now is the time for African governments. It is the time for African presidents, and it is the time for Africans to redeem themselves by solving the war in Congo. Africans have a responsibility to unite and solve their problems as Africans. I want again to emphasize that the solution to Africa's problems is in Africa. Africa is the solution to its problems. I know when I say Africa is the solution to its problems, some of the founding fathers will agree with me. Fulbert Youlou, that was the president of Congo Brazzaville in 1963, would agree with me when I say that Africa is the solution to its problems. Fulbert Youlou, president of Congo Brazzaville, during the 1963 conference, had this to say: the principle of African unity must be the foundation stone of the foreign policy of African states. This should be solemnly proclaimed, and its first application bring us back to the declaration of African Monroe Doctrine, keeping Africa for the Africans. I would close this session by saying that Africa must provide solutions to its problems. Africa is the solution to its problems. And Congo is the solution to its problems. Africa must be the solution to Congo's problems. The war in Congo should not be endless. The war in Congo should be ended. And I have said that China, United States, Russia, Israel, they are in Congo for one reason. And be reminded that the ongoing war in Congo favors these foreign parties. They are in Congo for one reason: to fulfill their national interests. And their national interests, I have said and emphasized, is to extract raw materials, minerals from DR Congo. Apart from that, there is nothing they can do. That leaves Africans, Africa and Congo with the yoke of solving the war. Africa has a responsibility to end the ongoing Congo war. Africa has a responsibility to stop the innocent killings in DR Congo. And it is only through African unity that this can be achieved. I encourage my African presidents and I encourage my fellow Africans that unite and solve our problems. When we are united, we are a strong force. These founding fathers, they gave us a guideline. They provided a guideline to African leaders, and it is a pity and it is a worry that African leaders have ignored these guidelines. I think Africa would be a better place if the guidelines that were established by these founding fathers are followed to the latter. If these leaders solemnly, honestly follow these guidelines, then I think Africa would be a better place. From the bottom of my heart, I hope to see the brotherly rapprochement of all the African states. Long live African unity. Thank you.